This is Viscerator Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me on YouTube and Twitch. All right, so today we're going to go through another build video. And this time I'm going to concentrate on one of my builds that I love to run all the time, which is my Armor Regen build. Now this particular build is, as I always say, I make these build videos. They're pretty basic. But this one is not as complex, but it does involve a few things that you have to think about. So this is Armor Regen build that, that utilizes 3% armor regen. Okay, so when you talk about armor and armor regen, it's really the armor regen is a percentage on top of the armor that you already have. So you want to try to maximize the amount of armor that you can get, and then of course you build that armor regen on top of that. So in this particular build, I'll go ahead and start in on the weapons that I have here. Now in this particular build, I'm using the MOP, which is a high-end shotgun, and this one has 677k damage with maxed out shotgun damage to armor, and armor on kill. Now I have close and personal on this particular shotgun, but you can use anything that you would like. You can use in sync or anything else, but close and personal, killing a target within 7 meters grants 30% plus weapon damage for 10 seconds, which is a pretty nice talent to have on here. And of course, it's running like 677k, so it's pretty decent damage. But when you get that extra 30% weapon damage, that's pretty much key to this type of build, because if you're running all armor, you want to get that damage back some type of way, and this is just one way to get it, that 30% weapon damage. Now the next weapon I have here, I'm using the Scorpio exotic shotgun, which is running 677k damage, maxed out shotgun damage to armor, critical hit damage, maxed out. And of course it has septic shock. Shooting a target applies stacks of venom, which lasts for 10 seconds. Increasing stacks adds more severe debuffs to the target. Poison is 1 shot, 3 shots to the target is disorient, 6 shots is shock. The 7th shot target takes additional 20% damage from all sources, and stacks no longer increase. Now it says stacks no longer increase, but look, it has only 7 shots in the magazine. So duration of status effects is based on percentage of pellets hit on applying shot, and not the status effects on your gear pieces. So we're not going to be putting any status effects on any of our gear pieces to kind of maximize any status effects from this weapon. All right, so and for the pistol, pretty much anything you want to use here. I'm using the Orbit to, of course, give myself some. It's a high-end pistol. It actually gives it's a Magnum actually, but here I have maxed out pistol damage, and I have swap speed here. I left the swap speed on. It's not a big deal, but it does help when you're switching weapons, because this is a perfect finisher. Swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing an enemy grants 35% critical hit damage, hit chance, and 40% critical hit damage for 15 seconds. So swap speed is not a bad attribute to have on this weapon, since you'll be switching from this weapon after a kill and switching to one of your primary or secondary weapons. But of course, you can use anything other than an exotic as because you can't have 2 exotic weapons on at the same time. But you can use anything else pretty much here, whatever you would like to use actually. Now for the gear pieces, I'm running with a Bellstone on the mask, and you see here I'm running crit chance along with armor regen, and I have a crit hit damage mod here on this mask. Now the Bellstone gives you, the one piece gives you 1%. That's where that 1% armor regen is coming from for the Bellstone. And then the next thing I have here is a chest piece. I'm running the Hunter Killer, which gives me, of course, 10% status effects. And with the first piece and the second piece, I get another 1% of armor regen. Now on this particular piece, it has perfect Intimidate. That means while you have bonus armor, amplifies total weapon damage by 40% to enemies within 10 meters. Now, as you can see here, I have armor regen. I put one of the minor attributes on this particular piece. Now, I would have liked it to come with something other than repair skills, but it's fine. 18.4% repair skills is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. And of course, I have a crit hit damage mod, of course, increasing my crit damage with this particular gear loadout. And for the holster, I have one Gila, which gives me total armor because, of course, like I said before, Armor Regen is on top of whatever armor you have. So of course, getting an extra 5% total armor for one piece Gila Guard is not bad. This is a Jackrabbit holster. It's got my maxed out armor, and of course I maxed out Armor Regen, and there I put and this one came with maxed out crit hit damage. Now for the knee pads, I'm using a Emperor's Guard Murakami Industries knee pad. And of course, the first one gives you 20% skill duration, but I'm not really concerned with the 20% skill duration. It doesn't hurt because, of course, I am using a drone, but it's not such a big deal. But the big reason to have this particular piece is because it gives you another 1% armor regen. Now, this particular piece has a skill tier, and I maxed out the armor regen, but for some reason, I have not been able to find an Emperor's Guard, which you can only get from the Dark Zone, to find an Emperor's Guard that already has armor regen. So, because I would, of course, replace that skill tier with armor, because that would increase the amount of armor that the armor regen would be spec'ing on. So, and then we have the second piece of the Golan gear, which gives me that 1% armor regen, and that's the total up to 3% armor regen on this particular loadout. And of course, here I have crit hit damage loaded on here. With already had armor regen and armor on it when I found it, actually. So, and this the last piece here is I'm using a Roamer Pack Sal, which is actually the Badger Tuff backpack. And you could really use anything here. I mean, basically something that's going to give you an additional damage. Of course, I chose the Badger Tuff because that first piece gives me 10% shotgun damage. And with, in most of these armor builds, you want to find a way to get that damage back. So this particular piece gives me adrenaline rush. Whenever you're within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times, and cooldown is 5 seconds. And I actually was lucky enough to get this piece maxed out pretty much everything I needed on it, and I just added to 12% crit hit damage. Now the adrenaline rush is important for this particular build because, of course, perfect Intimidate means that I'm going to want to have bonus armor all the time. So, when I'm getting within, 10 meters of an enemy, my adrenaline rush will proc, and then that means the perfect Intimidate will proc as well. Now, if you look at the skills that I'm using here, now I put a fixer drone on here, but you could use anything. If you're using, let's say you wanted to switch this mop out and put something on here you can put something with in sync. As I hear, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I put it because in sync, hitting an enemy grants plus 15% skill damage for 5 seconds, and using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants plus 15% damage, weapon damage for 5 seconds. Damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. So that's 30%. And of course, you can use that, and you can switch this fixer drone to a striker drone here, and although you're only it's one tier 1 skill now because I have the Murakami, but if I change that, it will be 0. But for this particular build, I left on the repair fixer drone skill because as you're fighting, you'll get repaired with this drone up. So, and it gives you plus 20% armor repair, and it's at 70% health. And if you look, the cooldown is 22.7 seconds with a health of 1.9 million HP. And the duration is pretty good. I mean, it's 270.4 seconds, which if you're going and using it for PvE, mission to mission, is not that bad. And of course, the healing is 29,000.1, HP per second. Okay. And if you look at the PvP numbers, the PvP healing is 14.5. All right. And of course, I'm using the Striker Ballistic Shield skill. Now, the Striker Shield is the modified version of the Crusader Shield, meaning that it's a shield that you can use where you can actually use other weapons with this shield. Okay. So it also allows the Jetstream Flamethrower signature weapon to be used while equipped. And in addition, the Striker Shield boosts the damage of the user's allies. Now, if you look on this particular, I'm using the Flamethrower basically because that way I can use the mods that go along with that signature weapon, which is the 8% shield health, and also for the 5% damage bonus per enemy. And also the active regeneration is also 8%. So it really actually improves the healing, the regeneration. And if you look here, it's at tier 6 because even though I only have 5 blues, I still have that yellow, that skill tier on the Murakami knee pads, which brings me to tier 6 with 60% active regeneration, 250% shield health, and 40% holster regeneration with a 2% buff strength. And if you scroll down here, you can see the mods that are on there. And of course, you get that cluster grenade that launches mini grenades, which detonate in a large area of effect. Now, when you use this, I usually call this my tank build. Just really, not really a running gun in this particular game, but I mean, this is probably the closest you can get to it. And you'll see this is, I wouldn't call it much of, well, maybe a meta with the Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush is pretty much made for each other. But there are other combinations that you could use, of course. You know, you could use 3 Golans. If you look on to the right, it says 5% total armor. The 3 instead of the Badger Tuff. You know, there's other different combinations. You could use maybe a 2-piece Foundry Bulwark to increase your maximum armor instead of the 2-piece Gila. You know, there's several different combinations, but this, of course, is a basic build, basic armor regen. And of course, you know, if you look again, I'm rolling the crit hit damage on the other pieces and crit hit chance. So if we look at our stats, you'll see that I have my crit chance is only 26%, but 117% crit hit damage, which is not that bad for, you know, certain weapons that if you're using a shotgun or a LMG or something like that, which I like to call high output, you know, your crit chance, even though it's lower, you're still going to get more hits than you would with a single shot weapon. Okay. So basically that's it for this armor regen build. I have a lot of fun with this build. I take it into, you know, I've actually taken it into PvP. There's a couple of changes that I would make. I would actually, you know, remove this mop and I would put the, I would take out either I could still use the Scorpio, but the weapon that would be really great in PvP is that Lady Death. Because the Lady Death will give you that breathe free when moving, gain 4 stacks per second or 8 stacks if sprinting, up to 32 stacks total. Each round fire consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 75%, and kills grant a 20% movement speed for 10 seconds. Now, you may not take advantage of the kills granting the 20% movement speed, but that breathe free comes in handy in a dark zone. And usually people see that, but like I said, I don't usually go in the dark zone that often, but this is a great weapon for that, and a great weapon for this particular build in armor regen. So if we look at the stats, like I said before, you know, 26% crit hit chance and 117% crit hit damage. And if you go down to the armor on kill, it's not that bad, but it's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is the 80,403 armor regeneration. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. And you know, if you look down here, it's not much in any type of explosive resistance or hazard protection. Now, something else that you could do is also run hazard protection in here instead of crit hit damage and crit chance, and you would still get your armor regen and you have more survivability, but you won't have as much damage going out for this particular build. All right. So that's about it. Like I said, you know, try it out. If you have any other ideas for this type of build, any armor regen build, there are several different combinations that you can make with this type of build, whether you're going for armor. Like I said, you can take something like this into the dark zone, but this is not something that I would technically rely on because, as I always say, damage tops armor every single time in the dark zone. So, but this is a great fun build to use, especially in PvE. I usually like to call it my rogue killer when I go through the summit or something like that, because I usually have a lot of survivability with rogues with this particular build. All right. So like I said, you know, hey, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. I'm pretty much everywhere that I can be, but I'm on YouTube as well. Go and like my videos on YouTube. It's free of charge. Just go in there and click that like button, click that bell, follow, leave comments. If you have any ideas for builds that you would like to see, or, you know, as I do these more often, I'll probably be getting more complex in my builds. I have several others that I want to share with you guys. So I appreciate the support. If you like what you see, just go ahead and click that like button. Follow me on Facebook and follow me on Twitch and YouTube. Hey, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll check you out in the next video.
Agent down. Rogue fixer drone detected. Rogue agent neutralized nearby. Nearby rogue agent killed.
What's inside?